This video will show you how to take a data table in Google Sheets and actually turn it into a graph. So in order to do that, the first thing you have to do is actually make a second data table, a smaller one. To start, we're actually going to highlight and copy your independent variable or your independent variable column. The best way to do this on a Chromebook is to highlight it, and then to copy, if you do not have an external mouse, you'll want to push 2 fingers on the mouse pad, which will bring up your option to copy. Come down below your original data table, pick a cell. Again, push 2 fingers on the mouse pad, and you'll paste that information here. Now, because we're graphing averages, and for the most part, we only graph averages, I'm going to highlight and again copy this column, and I want to paste it down here. Now you can see I have a problem. It says error. Now let me explain to you why I've received that error message. When I originally set up my data table, what's actually located here, if you look up here in the f of x text box, it's a formula. And this formula uses these values to calculate an average. What this error is telling me is that it no longer has access to these values. So I'm going to undo this. I'm going to undo that paste. I'm going to show you a different way to paste that copy. Try that again. I want to go to Paste Special, and I want to paste the values only. So basically what's happened is that this is going to paste just the numbers or the values from my average column. And there they are. The next thing I want to do is make sure that my information lines up. So for a boat capacity of 14 milliliters, my average was 6.4. I'm going to make sure it lines up down here. Boat capacity of 28 milliliters, my average was 14 6/10. That looks right. Check the next one. I always want to make sure that my numbers are still accurate. Now I'm actually going to make the chart. I'm going to highlight the information. I'm going to go up here until I find Insert, click on Insert, and I'm going to insert a chart. Now, it's given me the kind of chart it thinks I want. It thinks I want a bar graph. I don't. I'm going to go over here to the box. It says, hey, I think you want a column chart. I don't want a column chart. I'm going to choose a different kind of chart. I'm going to scroll down until I find the chart that I want. I actually, believe it or not, in order to make a line graph, the kind of line graph we want, we're going to pick scatter. There it is. That's what I want. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move this to its own sheet. It gives me an easier access to edit it. There it is. Now, there are several things I need to edit on this chart. The first thing I need to do is I need to give it a good title. Now, if I've forgotten what the title should be, I should go back to the first sheet where my data table is, and right there is the title I want. I can actually copy and I can go in here and paste it. Now my graph has a title. Now I want to make sure that both my axes are titled. My x-axis has a title. That's my independent variable, boat capacity. But my y-axis just says average. That's not quite accurate. So I'm going to go over here where it says title text. This was the average number of penny passengers. That's better. The next thing I want to look at is the legend. Now, a legend basically gives us information on what these dots represent. It says they represent the average. That's what this is referencing. But I know they represent the average, so I actually don't need a legend on this graph. So I'm going to click here and let the graph know that I don't want one, and it disappears. The last thing I actually want on my graph is a line of best fit, or a trend line. To get a trend line, I click here where it says series, click on the arrow that's pointing down. I'm going to click here on trend line, and it will add a trend line for me. And there it is, one graph made using sheets.